A couple months ago I made a cauliflower rice video, how to make it, what to make with it, and I spoke out against the cauliflower rice pizza crust. It's just not satisfying, and anytime I've ever had it, it's just made me want pizza more. It just doesn't scratch the itch. And in one of those videos I mentioned that I'd rather make myself a caprese salad than have a cauliflower rice pizza crust. It's honest, it's intentional, these flavors go together, and it doesn't leave me wanting pizza at the end. Don't get me wrong, I love pizza, but if I ate it as much as I wanted to, I'd be 500 pounds. All you really need for the caprese salad are three things. Freshly pulled mozzarella. If you can't find a mozzarella ball, a mozzarella brick will work just fine. You're just not going to get the same thing out of it. But I'd rather have you make this than not, just because you can't find the ball. Some basil. This smells amazing. You might remember over the summer when I just had my windowsill covered with herbs. Those have died one by one and I've dried them and put them away, but you definitely want fresh basil for this salad. And really the hero of the dish, tomatoes. If you don't like tomatoes, this isn't the salad for you. Now it's April right now, definitely not tomato season, but I am lucky enough to have a few local places that do greenhouse tomatoes. This means that they weren't imported, they weren't flash frozen, and tomatoes like that just never really regain their tomato-ness. Give it a gentle push with your thumb. It should give just slightly, and the whole thing, it should smell like the tomato bush. If this doesn't have an herbaceous smell, especially the stems or when you remove the stems, yeah, that belly button right there, it should smell just like you're sticking your head in the bush. If you're a tomato lover, you definitely should get one of these tomato cores. They're like $2. I'll put a link in the description below to one that I like, and I never got one of these until my 30s, and I really don't like single-use kitchen tools, but this is brilliant. And you give that just a taste to see how good that tomato actually is, and for this time of year, that's perfect. I am going to dress it up a little bit though. You really want your knife to be sharp for this, because tomatoes have, and I'm just going in wedges here, tomatoes have this tough skin and this soft interior. So if your knife is not sharp, you're really just going to smash your tomato and you run the risk of cutting yourself. Here's what I'm going to do for my tomatoes, and this is especially welcome if they're a little bit out of season. A little salt, some dried oregano. You want fresh basil, dried oregano, and a couple of splashes of red wine vinegar. I think that red wine vinegar works really well, and so does sherry vinegar. If you have sherry vinegar, this makes this taste amazing. You could also go with balsamic. Balsamic though is a pretty strong flavor, and I'm going to do a different balsamic element. And I'm going to mix those. Taste one. I'm going to leave these to sit just a little bit while that oregano marries with that vinegar. Cut up this cheese. Now, if you really want to go all out, you can find a buffalo mozzarella, and that's going to make just a killer caprese salad. If you can't find it, any old mozzarella ball will work. There are more commercial brands out there. Don't be afraid to grab one of those, but if you can find it, find something that was made in the store. Search for an Italian style market. They're usually going to have freshly pulled mozzarella cheese. So just because that's the natural order of things, I'm going to slice them into discs, but then I'm going to come back the other way. This way it's still fork manageable, but I feel like I'm getting a decent amount of mozzarella in each bite. Let's work on this basil. I want to find the smaller leaves. The smaller leaves are just a little bit sweeter. And there's nothing wrong with the larger leaves. Sometimes they can be a little more bitter, like this one here. I'm probably not going to use that, but it'll still make the house smell nice, so I might leave it on the counter, let it dry out. This was, of course, all washed already, and I'll take a few pieces just to not toss in with the tomatoes because I want more flavors. And then we're ready to plate. This salad does really benefit from a very light dusting of pepper, a little more salt over the top for that mozzarella. This is an extra virgin olive oil. Optional step, balsamic reduction. This looks and smells really good. Hey, if you're feeling educated and or entertained, let me know by hitting that like button so that these videos can get in front of more people. Let's eat. Oh man, and we have this great sort of tomato, olive oil, vinegar sauce at the bottom here. Get yourself a nice piece of crusty bread and mop that up. It's creamy, it's sweet, it's herbaceous, it's acidic. The dried oregano is just really subtle in there, doesn't overpower the basil at all, just complements the tomatoes. And doing that little bit of balsamic reduction in there just elevates it slightly. It doesn't overpower the dish. Now my actual pizza, I spent a long time working on and figuring out that crust, and it's exactly what I want. If you're interested in taking a look, I'll put that video right up here, and if you're interested in how I made this balsamic reduction, that's this one right here.